Hi, this is Encore News, and today is January 25th, 2013, and we are going to be talking about some updates on the judicial foreclosure. Here in January, I believe it was the 15th of January, there was a session with MERS regarding the Niday case, which was a case that was regarding being foreclosed upon by the banks, and it was overturned. And her name is Rebecca Niday, and Niday is going through a foreclosure process with GMAC, and GMAC has appealed it along with MERS. And so we were talking about this a few weeks back, and this was a case happened in July of 2012, and right here in January they had a hearing, and the Court of Appeals is reviewing at the Supreme Court level this case. And of course, it's going through a big process, and arguments were heard, and no decision's been made. Banks have been committing fraud really, since about 2004, 2005, with how they've dealt with securitization of loans, which means they break up loans in small parts and sell them off. And you can't just sell a loan off without doing proper paperwork and doing assignments in the county in which the house is being transferred from one bank institution to another. And that's what this case, Niday versus GMAC, is about. And now GMAC and MERS is basically appealing it, saying this was done correctly. But according to federal and state law, it wasn't done correctly. And the courts are starting to wake up to what is actually law and what is acceptable, because the people are starting to rise up and are getting very upset with these false and fraudulent foreclosures on people. Now, this is not to say that people haven't paid their mortgage or things of that sort, but some of these people have been foreclosed on very brutally. And we can go into a whole session on how this all works. But I just want to give you an update that it's been through the Court of Appeals. The Supreme Court is reviewing all of this, and they heard arguments a couple weeks ago. And of course, legislation, there's loopholes they're reviewing and figuring things out, and it may be at the end of the session. So what does end of the session mean when you're dealing with Congress? Well, the end of session could be another 30 to 160 days, depending if it's an even year or an odd year. Well, here we are in an odd year, so it could be up to 160 days from how I understand it, which means we're talking another 4, 5, 6 months before we actually get a true answer on this Supreme Court hearing on MERS. And the news is not out there talking about this, of course, the mass media, because the bankers do not want people knowing about this. But if you've been unlawfully foreclosed upon, there could be a quiet title suit, and that means if the bank has taken title to your property and it wasn't done properly, whether you've paid or not, they have to do it correctly through the court system. And with this Niday versus GMAC case here, right in the Oregon area, this could prove to be a chance for you to redeem your house back. So these are troubling times for homeowners. They're trying to understand this and figure it out. And this is also troubling times for our court system because it's backed up. And MERS, along with the big banks, including GMAC, they are really working hard to slam legislation through and allow foreclosure to happen on these people. And it's time for you to rise up and let your Congress people and men and women and your representatives in your area, your senators, your governors, whoever's in your area, your mayors, etc., let them know about what's going on. Let them know that we need proper legislation and proper hearings for people, because we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But as you know, in the United States, it's changed with how lawmakers have put things together, and it's become you are now guilty until proven innocent. And this is kind of what the banks have done because they had lots of money And with that money, they've been steamrolling over a lot of homeowners, including veterans that have came back from Iraq, including people that have had medical issues and have been foreclosed upon fraudulently by banks. These are just deadbeat homeowners. These are people, a lot of these people have lived in these homes for years and have had issues rise up, have had problems that have rised up, and they have not had a fair shake in our judicial system. And Oregon right now is at the force center of the whole United States, whether you know it or not, with this Niday versus GMAC case. So as of right now, the court system is basically doing nothing. They're quote unquote reviewing the arguments, and it may not be through the next session of legislation. And again, when you're talking about dealing with Senate and Congress and things of this sort, we're talking months down the road. There may be other hearings coming up that we don't know about. I haven't read about anything showing that any more hearings will come about right now. But see, banks don't want to do this mediation process, is what was put forth in July, which says bankers, you need to go through a mediation process with the homeowners and see if you can do maybe a loan modification or a short sale or a workout program. And banks don't want to do this. So they've been steamrolling in Oregon to do judicial foreclosures. And I will keep you guys informed on the latest. As of right now, it's stuck in the court system, and no ruling has occurred.